Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be talking about Azure Lane Fallen Lord, and tomorrow I'll be going back to start doing school again. Well, technically enrollment, but still. Anyway, let's continue on with this video, shall we, ladies and gents? We currently see now Izuku running on top of the turret horse, yeah. As several of the misbegotten would charge in towards the sirens. Or at least the siren, or at least the mass-produced siren ships, as they would start up charging in, destroying them. As for the dragons from up above would go down from the skies and would start rushing towards the ships, burning them up, burning them asunder. As while doing so, Izuku would be there riding upon his horse as he would charge in as well with the help of his riggings. As his riggings would be revealed. Revealing that of his now riggings. One of the riggings, or at least the first one, seems to be resembling that of many of the shark or dragon like riggings that most of the Iron Blood would have. While the other one seems a little bit more unique, resembling that of a claw with a single wing on the forearm, or at least one of the forearms. As it would slowly start creating electricity as Izuku would scream out. As coming out of nowhere, or more specifically from the sky, a large lightning bolt with red that seems to be colored red, as he would scream out the name of the attack. Ancient Dragon's Lightning Spear! He would scream out, slamming it, throwing it like a javelin towards the middle of the siren mass-produced ships, destroying them. Doing so, he would notice the sound of laughter. After hearing the laughing, he would see one of the elite siren ships, being that of Purifier. She would say, "So we meet again, Anomaly," she would say. As after saying that, Izuku would say to her, "Damn you, bitch," he would say, as he would grab onto his Rivers of Blood sword and would slash at her, jumping into the sky on top of his horse, and would start trying to strike her down. Doing so, she would launch off blast upon blast with the help of her cannons, or I'm not gonna say the actual names of those specific cannons or any of the names of the actual cannons in the series, because I'm not proficient at remembering all of them, even when I have the wiki. So yeah, as while firing the cannons, she would also bring up her, I guess you could say her riggings, or at least the shark or hammer shark looking rigging, and would fire a blast, like a large beam of light towards him, which Izuku would dodge out of the way. As she would say, you're so interesting. Too bad I had to destroy you," she would say. As she would bring up more of these weird looking drones, as several of the siren ships would be launching towards him at full speed, using several bombardment attacks, specifically bombs and also missiles, which he would ignore the attack and would start using another incantation. As when he saw her getting ready to attack him again, he would bring up another sorcery, or incantation. Doing so, slowly, something would start happening to his rigging, or more specifically, the one that resembles that of a iron blood rigging. As it would slowly started shifting, the as the outside of the rigging, or at least the dragon head, would slowly start transforming into what seems to be a flat-headed, or some sort of dragon, or at least a much more flesh and blood one, to be more specific. As he would scream out, "Agile's flame!" As after doing so, a blast of fire would rush towards her. Doing so, it would burn a part of her body, but she would be or at least not be affected, but more like laughing, seeing the fight continue, as she would say, "Oh, this is so fun," she would say. As after doing so, she would bring up more of her, rigging's cannons and would start firing once again. Izuku would think, that masochistic bitch, he would say, as after saying so, he would bring up the rivers of blood again and would start channeling something through it. As slowly, electricity would start flowing through the blade itself. As in his other hand, he would start creating something that resembles that of a lightning glaive, made from red lightning. As he would scream out, Lanceax glaive! He would scream out, slicing towards her. As he would rush towards the now Purifier, or at least weakened Purifier, and would use his rivers of blood slicing through her, specifically slicing off her top half from her bottom half. Doing so, she would spit out what seems to be, well, not really blood. Technically, it's oil, or at least I think so. But either way, she would be bisected, as when doing so, she would spit out something that resembles blood. After doing so, the Purifier ship or riggings would basically capture top half, as when doing so, she would say, that was fun, she would say, as before she can do anything else, she would be distracted and would look over and would see somebody else, or at least seems to be talking to somebody else, I meant. As while seeing this, not Rex, I meant Izuku would rush towards her once again to strike her down, but before he can, he would get distracted by the sound of gunfire. More specifically from another mass-produced Siren ship, which struck towards him, but he dodged out of the way, as the now Purifier would look at him and would say, "Oh, sorry. It seems that the sorry. It seems that the tester told me to come back soon. Oh well, at least you'll have another fight next time," she would say. This time having a sadistic smile on her face, as would say, like I'll let you live anyway, he would say, as he would rush towards her once again, but before he can actually strike her, she would disappear in a portal. After doing so, he would say, "Damn it!" He would say, as he would look towards the ground and would see several of the Siren ships still lingering around, still fighting some of the dragons and also the other misbegotten. As he would say this, "I'm going to destroy you, you pieces of..." As before he can say anything else, he would create more and more of his, or use another incantation. Doing so, he would use this. As before he can say anything else, he would create two lightning spears as he would rush towards the water or the ground, in this case. Technically, the water is the ocean, but yeah, he would go towards the water and would strike down these two large lightning spears. Doing so, he would scream the name of his incantation, "For the Sax lightning spears!" As after saying these words, the nearby siren ships, or at least almost all, like literally almost all of them, would be disintegrated after getting struck by the attack. As after doing so, he would lift off his body and would see the destruction that he made. As he would see the entire ocean nearby, or at least the entire water nearby, would kill several of the fish, causing them to basically belly up in the water. Doing so, he would say, "I guess it's better to take all of these fish," he would say, as he would look towards a few of the rest of the other misbegotten, as he would say, "All of you, grab all of the fish that you can." As after saying this, the misbegotten would nod their heads and would start grabbing all the fish. As he would look towards the another group of what seemed to be other misbegotten, but also some what seemed to be knights, and also some other minions of his that he gotten from his old world. As he would say these words, "Grab these siren ships." As after saying that, the I guess you could say the large, or at least several of his army would start slowly grabbing onto the ships by their hands, mostly the misbegotten, but some of the knights would also help, but more or less, they would just be on top, directing them where to go, as they would start bringing them towards the actual, like, castle where he, or at least the actual island, aka his ship. Technically, his ship. As after doing so, he would start deactivating his riggings, transforming back into his more humanoid form. As after doing so, he would finally arrive back at land, and as he would start going towards back home, aka the castle. As Wiwaku would say, that was, she would say, surprised, as Amagi would say, yes, he's that powerful. Even though he rarely uses his riggings, he still prefers to use most of his abilities back then. As one of them would ask, what are these powers, said Ayanami. As she would say, apparently they're called incantations, essentially magic spells. After hearing about this, they would all of them would be surprised. Well, kind of surprised considering that they're literally warships with the powers to use the power of warships. They're just sentient warships in sexy or lowly bodies, to say the least. So, that's definitely not weird in their opinion. But either way, one of them would ask, as Akagi would say, if he's that powerful, then, as she would look towards Amagi, as she would say, yes, he did it all by himself. Uh, back before I was, well, um, back before you actually came here, I was actually been helping out with him, especially since his kingdom was still in its strife at the time. We, or should I say, him and his three generals did help a lot, but I still felt like it was not really up to the task. But still, I'm still thankful for him saving me, especially since that I was not a part of his faction at the time. Still, she would look towards Amagi as she would say, anyway, when he comes back, try to at least be nice to him. As after saying this, Amagi would be, still, I guess you'd say flabbergasted with with his skills. But one would be the most interested, being that of Kaga, as seeing him with his ferocity and anger towards the sirens, she would be the most scared. Seeing him with his rage-filled face at the sirens, calling them nothing more than monsters. And in fact, despising them for daring to make him a slave, well, you can probably guess why she would be, the most, the most scared out of all of them. Especially since, he essentially is able to use the power of a dragon and controls dragons, by the way. So, as while watching this, the person in the room, specifically that of one of his lords or generals, aka Moog, also known as the Omen King or the New Omen King, because, well, I'm definitely not adding that certain guy, traitor to say the least, as he would look towards the girls as you say, I think it's better not to think of anything else. For now, just relax. After all, His Majesty is, as before they can say anything else, they would see the door or the gates open and would see Izuku come back. A bit tired looking, yeah, but still pretty much confident. As he would look towards, Moog, as he would say, Moog, you may go back to your kingdom for now. As he would say, yes, my lord, he would say, bowing to him as he would start sprouting out his wings and would start flying back to his, part of the island. As he would look towards the girls, as he would say, well, anyway, we should start going to the, what you say as, um, as Suisaku would say, the Sakura Empire. You just need to go, at least north, she would say. As after hearing that, he would look towards her and would say, very well. As after saying that, they would slowly start going towards the Sakura Empire. And so we'll be ending off this episode right off here. So yeah, so bye bye!